Hey guys, so today's video we're going to be going over lists in Python. I was thinking about bringing in some additional stuff while making this video or coming up with a game plan, but we're just not going to because it'll be too confusing. So let's jump right into it. List within Python, we'll go ahead and create a variable and we'll call it variable. And we're going to go ahead and set it equal to brackets. And within these brackets, this will be what the list consists of. So for example, let's create a list of apples. Let's go ahead and create oranges, and then let's go ahead and add some numbers to that, and then let's go ahead and add a Boolean value as well. So just so you know, lists can consist of string values, integers, Boolean, even additional lists, which we'll go into a little bit later right here with matrices. But essentially, lists, they consist of items, like I guess similar to like if you're shopping on Amazon, for example, and like you have a laptop, a pencil, a notebook, and whatever else in your shopping cart, that would then be considered a list. Likewise, obviously this is considered a list. So if, for example, we were to go ahead and print this list variable, what we would get is the list printed out. Now, some fun things that we could go ahead and do with this list are slices. And for those that are kind of familiar with slices from just slicing text or string values, it's very similar to lists. So let's go ahead and say, for example, we want to bring up the first two items, right? So remember in Python, we start at 0, and then we count up 0, 1, 2. And if we were to go ahead and print that, what we get is apples and oranges. Just remember that when you start anywhere within a list and you want to like slice it and gather additional information within the list itself, what you'll do is this on the left side of the slice, that will be the beginning side. And it'll always start at 0 unless you tell it to start at 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then on this side of the colon, we'll go ahead and have that as the end. So wherever you want it to end, just subtract 1 from it. So for example, if we wanted to have all the values, all 4, what we would do is we do 4. And then we'd actually go with 0 right here. And then we'd be able to print all 4. And then finally, final option would be also steps. So Python automatically starts in steps of 1. And what I mean by steps, they go 1, 2, 3, right? If we want to, we could go in sets of 2. So we go 1, skip, and then 2. So it's like going over, right? So if we're to go ahead and print this, we get apples and 123. And then that's just kind of like the couple examples I'll use for slices at least. Something else to go ahead and keep in mind when working with slices, lists I should say, are you could go ahead and actually update one of the items within the list itself. So let's go ahead and create the variable again. And then let's say, for example, we wanted apples. So we'll start at 0 because 0 is apples. Let's say we wanted apples to actually read as apple pie. What you could do is you could do this, and then we'll go ahead and print variables. Variable. And then if we were to run it, we'd see that apples were updated to apple pie. So whatever you want to go ahead and update, you could do that with the index right here by just saying, hey, Python, let's go ahead and update the 0 index of this list. Likewise, if you want to, we could even say, let's go ahead and update the first 3, right? So we'll go apple pie, we'll go bananas, and then we'll go ahead and go with, let's go with false. And so if we were to run this, what we would get is we get apple pie, bananas, false, and true. So again, what we're doing is we're updating 0, 1, 2. And likewise, again, for those that don't remember, this 3 will not be, it goes up to but not including 3. So that's why we're stopping at 2. So let's move on to the next example that I kind of wanted to go over, which was we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to assign it or bound it to the value of variable. And if we were to print new variable, what we would get is apples, oranges, 1, 2, 3, and true. Now we're getting this obviously because we're saying we want new variable to be bound to variable. Now let's say hypothetically we wanted to print variable, but we wanted new variable, we wanted new variable to have a new value. So what I mean by that is, let's say we wanted to update 1, 2, 3, which would be position 2, and we wanted to have it assigned a new value of bananas. If we were to now print variable and not actually new variable, what would happen is 1, 2, 3 would be updated to bananas. This is happening because we're saying that new variable equals variable. Essentially, new variable is the variable. And so when we're updating new variable, when we're updating the index of 2 to be bananas instead of 1, 2, 3, we're saying that we want variable to be updated to 1, 2, 3. Now, this might seem a little confusing, but just know that within Python, we're not actually creating we're not saying new variable equals a new list, like a copy of the list. We're saying that new variable is the list. If, for example, you were to see something like this, what would happen is now new variable would actually equal the copy of variable, because we're saying that we want the copy of variable, or because we're saying that we want to take index 0 all the way to the end of the index, so pretty much the entire list, but because it's not actually just variable, this is essentially a new copy. So if you do happen to have this in an interview, just know that when you see this slice, this would be considered a copy of variable, whereas this would actually be the variable that we're speaking on. So that's just kind of an important point to remember when working with lists and when slicing lists and updating their indexes. So hopefully you learned a little bit more about lists and working with lists in Python. If you like, please feel free to check out some of my other videos where I will be going into matrices, NumPy, and so on. You'll just be able to read it within the title itself. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.